Good evening. We'll start tonight's meeting with the invocation by Assistant City Manager Craig Shadrick. And also we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance by young man, the Boy Scout, Mr. Phillips, Jerry Phillips. Come on up, standing, and we'll start with the prayer, and then you can do the pledge.
Let's pray. Our Father in heaven, we're so grateful for our opportunity to be here this evening to conduct business, conduct ourselves on behalf of the city of Ocoee. We're so thankful for our staff and our elected officials and their willingness to serve their community. We pray that everything that we do will be right for this community and in accordance with your will. Father, we're so especially grateful for our first responders. We value the times that they continually put themselves on the line for us and our citizens. Pray that you'll continue to be with them and be with those who are serving this country in any type of public safety capacity. Father, we ask that you continue to bless this community, help us to do the things that will help it grow and be stable for years to come. And all these things we ask in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phillips.
Commissioner Grogan,
Here.
Commissioner Wilson. Here. Mayor Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Ferstner,
Here.
Commissioner Oliver.
Here.
All right, we have a proclamation. 9/11 remembrance. Whereas the earth shook on September 11th, 2001 from an assault on the United States of America, and whereas the democratic freedom we all share were attacked by the terrorists from afar, and whereas nearly 3,000 perished in the attack, with more than 400 of those being first responders who sacrificed their lives in an attempt to save others. All innocent victims of an evil beyond our comprehension, and where this loss of life and the savagery of the attack on icons of our freedom have left few Americans untouched. And whereas we want to reach out to those families that have been sacrificed for a meaningless representation of a radical political view, and whereas our standard has been one nation under God, and we should stand up for our right and freedom with God's guidance, and whereas these terrorists must be shown what freedom means to Americans, including the right to worship our God without fear of intimidation, and whereas in memory of those we lost on this tragic day, we pray to never see a day like this again, and know the American spirit can never be broken, and the unbreakable spirit lives on today in the courage of the first responders who safeguard our city each day, and the patriotism that lives on in the citizens of our great community. Now therefore, the City Commission of the City of Ocoee, Florida proclaims that September 11th, 2018 be known as a day of prayer, remembrance, and dedication to patriotism and love for our country that will be recognized forever. And witness whereof I, Mayor Rusty Johnson. May God bless America, and may she survive forever. Can the police and fire come up, please?
One or two more.
All right, presentation of the downtown amenity package. Deputy Development Service Director, CRA, Administrator Corliss.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. It's kind of, for me to sit here as a staff, it's my first official kind of briefing as a staff member, so I'm really excited to be here. I'm also going to ask you to bear with my voice this evening. It's kind of had laryngitis. It's the first day I've been able to speak since Saturday, so making sure that I understand. So what I'm here to do is to do a briefing on the Downtown Amenity Program and our package, and this is very important because as we are going through the redevelopment efforts downtown, a lot of our work is the undergrounding, is the things that people don't see. But we want to be able to express the importance of creating a package of site amenities, and when I mean site amenities, that's the benches, the lights, the family of how everything fits together as relates to kind of, in fact, I've heard them called basically kind of the jewels that will bring everything together. So you have an urban design team that really went back to the downtown master plan to pull the language for the core of the downtown core area and say, what are those guiding principles, the characters that we're trying to embrace through the site amenity package? And as important as we go through that, we wanted to make sure that this package provided a consistency throughout the downtown, but as well as helping us to kind of create that area as a destination, of pulling together what's special about town. Also, when you have a family that works together as site amenities, it helps the implementation go faster. As these projects come out, you already have those packages of the benches and the lights, they all work together. So the engineers are able to put together what the designers put as it relates to the amenity package. We also want to go back to having a thematic approach to the site amenities, of taking back to that master plan that really comes back to that old Florida feel, of being able to have that kind of garden approach to where people feel comfortable sitting, where they feel safe walking, where they have the opportunity to really be together. So we created an urban design team of the city, got together, we created a hierarchical system to highlight the downtown core as something very special as they go through. So when we go back, if you remember, to the master plan, we have the downtown core, then we had the other areas that were kind of surrounding the core component to that. And in the master plan, it really speaks to that downtown to being a vibrant area for walking, for biking, for people to interchange, to have programs going on, and to have the interface. So it becomes very special that when we create this package, people want to stay, they feel comfortable being there, as well as safe. We also have character areas that are outside the core and other places in the city, so we didn't want to forget them. But those areas are kind of less formal, more functional in aspect, but we still want them to tie to the core, and we can do that through similar elements and similar colors. So as we go forth, what we did is develop a system we call the garden style that pulls from the character that's described in the master plan. The lights are all LED lights. We're looking for, you see the hook neck for both what we call pedestrian street lights, that would be on areas such as McKee and Blueford. And Oaklands, we have to really have the high intensity where people are walking. We also have the street lights of the same type of family as relates to being such as we have from Blueford coming in and going up to Silver Star, going through that component. We also have lights that we call out what are called our park lights, and those kind of has the little hat on it, the third picture to the right, well actually, yeah, if you're looking at it. But that component, it kind of pulls into the elements of the Lakeshore Center. These will be in the parks, both of the lakefront park and up to the Stormwater Park within the downtown core. Kind of peeling a little bit of the deco age that our new city hall is going to be kind of emulating. The bench that we selected, we want to make sure it was comfortable and different and pulling from that garden style. And the bench is actually a metal recreation of those old garden benches you would see in downtown areas and components. But something really neat about this bench is really cool is we're able to do laser cuts. So in the bench, we can actually either put the logo from the standpoint of being the flower or a combination of flower, the word Ocoee, or even downtown Ocoee, so we'll be working on that. It's kind of a really neat approach to this. Also, we have the trash can that you have to work together because they kind of normally where you have a bench, you have a trash can, so we want to make sure it's the same family with a component of that, including bike racks, planters, and bollards, both the removable bollards, because we're going to be able to utilize them in such things as the parks to make sure we can actually take and have additional plaza we're coming into the lakefront park. So we really put together a whole team that works for the downtown core that works together. It is going to be high gloss from the component of black, and black is very important because it has a classic feel. It has an up kind of radiating feel when you're in the downtown. But we didn't want to miss out on what else is happening outside the core. So we've developed an amenity package. You'll see there's less elements here because those outside the core, you're more functional. You have a different type of street light, again, LED. You have a simpler bench that can be used in the different parks outside the core as well as other components. Trash can is very similar in style. And here we can actually do medallions on this type of furniture if we want to from the standpoint of the city. So from the point of being, I was only supposed to give 4 to 5 minutes. I want to keep on schedule with that. But I think it's important here as we go forth that we understand what's going to be happening and what people see from the standpoint of amenities as it relates to that. So I'm actually saying, I saw some nodding heads as it relates to help and start watching as we start putting these things out along the streetscapes and within the park, because we're ready to get going with that. And I think that the look that we've brought together is going to be cohesive with that. Any comments?
All right. Anybody up here on the podium want to make any comments? Now's the time.
Happy for bike racks.
Yep. And anybody else? What about?
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Good report. So do we need to vote on that or consensus for that, or we need to vote on it?
We were just looking for a consensus if anyone had any problems, because with the schedule and budget for the downtown master plan implementation, we're gonna need to start ordering all these things. So it was mainly to get any feedback on the design. We've spent a lot of staff time and consultant time looking at this, and this is a family of amenities like Ginger had presented that can grow with the city. So that's our recommendation. If there's no issue with that, then we're gonna proceed with ordering them.
Are
All
those
right.
benches 8 feet long? Are those benches long? Or are they more
That's
like the ones we've been doing that we've seen?
Ginger can tell you.
They're all about the same.
We actually have the ability to do 6 foot and 8 foot. So depending upon the locations, we may go 8 foot, and then we will actually have a center bar 2 component to it. So areas such as along the lake, other components where we may want to have a larger bank, so we have that capability. Well, actually, one of the things I didn't say is we're going forward, we're going to actually be involved in where each of these elements are placed so that we have safe seating areas. It's one of my specialties, SEPTED, crime prevention through environmental design. So we'll be working very closely with our implementation team to make sure that they're placed in safe places, so we have both opportunities there.
Are 6 feet about with the standard what we see?
Correct, 6 feet is the normal standard
Okay.
bench. We only use longer ones in areas that we have high concentrations of activities and we kind of need it. We can actually even go down to a 4-foot bench, but I normally don't recommend them because they're only like a 1-person type of bench. Or 2, and we don't want that happening.
Okay, thank you.
I have one last question for you. Sorry. In some downtown areas, they have these type of amenities. They also have music. Will we have the capabilities of having music piped through the lights or some of the fixtures there?
Usually, that is a thing that we can take a look at. They're usually not part of the elements. They're usually kind of an added audio system. Like if you go downtown Orlando and you walk around Lake Eola, that's an additional system that can be used and they come in afterwards. Those systems are quite costly, not only to put in, but to operate as it relates to a lot of things happening to them. But it could be an area that we have a special location, we can look at that.
Maybe that's something we can look forward to once we get everything all together.
Yeah,
For
and
the
then we
future.
can watch where people, how things are working, but that's usually comes kind of at the end, but we can do that too.
Ginger, I got one
You
question.
want to talk to my residents about that, who live down there.
It's location's very key in where you use that.
All right. Consent. Go ahead.
One more thing. There was one thing that we see a lot of when we go to our conventions and stuff about all the public places, all of the benches, seats. And what a lot of them are doing is they're making them so, I want to try to be politically correct here, but it's kind of hard, but they would put dividers on the benches so that when you sit down, you have a section that you sit in, but it prevents someone from laying down and sleeping on it like a bed, or it prevents stuff like that. Was there any thought? I know the design of those, but I didn't see that.
Each
That
of
was
those
part of it.
benches that you can actually have on the 6 foot and the 8 foot has a mid bar. So actually, when you read the description, we do call out a mid bar.
Okay.
And a lot of times, we can actually have an open bench in areas that have high visibility.
Okay.
As we go to other areas, we'll use that mid bar, especially from the standpoint of just what you're talking
Right.
about. As well as, what people don't also realize, and it's very important, and I know that as I'm getting older, that mid bar is actually an ADA assistance from the standpoint that you can
Okay.
actually use it if you're sitting in the middle to help you get up. So there's a lot of applications, but yes, we are looking to have the mid bar in certain locations.
Thank you.
Anybody else? So the consensus is, everybody okay with what we're doing?
Yes.
All right. There you go. All right, now it's time for the comments from citizens and the public. Anybody has any comments on anything except what's on the agenda? If it's on the agenda, we'll talk about it when we get there. So does anybody have any comments for anything pertaining to something not on the agenda? All right, moving along. Staff reports.
Nothing at this time.
All that time to get up there, you ain't got nothing.
Trying to keep it tight.
All right. Commissioner announcements, Commissioner Oliver.
Yes, we had the opportunity to visit the Florida League of Cities convention in Hollywood, Florida this past week. And as we were all there, and we were able to go to various workshops and learn different things that's going to help us to move our city forward. One of the things I was particularly interested in was the forming of youth councils. So I was able to spend an entire day with some experts from various cities throughout the state of Florida that have formed these youth councils. So I've gotten a wealth of information that I'll be forthcoming, but I'm just trying to put it all together. But just let you know, we had a great time there and learned a whole lot at the convention this past week.
Anything else? Commissioner First,
Not at this time.
Commissioner Wilson,
Not at this time. I'll wait till the end. Thank you.
Commissioner Grogan.
Not at this time.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and read these announcements, and then I'll do something at the end. The Orange County Supervisor of Elections Office encourages citizens to participate in the 2018 primary election being held on August the 28th, 2018. For more information on early voting locations or how to locate your precinct, please visit your website at www.ocfelection.com. Just to tie on to that, I was notified by the police group, we all need to remember we'll be voting at the Woman's Club, and the road has different directions right now for the school, so that in that morning when you come out to vote at the Woman's Club, to be sure to look at the driving instructions, because it's a one-way through there now instead of double traffic. As a reminder, City Hall is closed on Monday, September the 3rd, in observance of Labor Day. Also, the City Commission meeting scheduled for Tuesday, September the 4th has been canceled. The Community Redevelopment Agency is holding a public meeting here in City Hall on Wednesday, September the 5th at 6 p.m. to consider adoption by resolution of their 2018-2019 annual budget. The city's tentative budget public hearing is Wednesday, September the 12th, and the final budget public hearing is scheduled for Wednesday, September the 26th. All meetings will begin at 6 p.m. here in City Hall. All right. Consent agenda.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson, seconded by Commissioner Grogan. Any more comments? Not, let's vote. All right, number 12. Oh, sorry about that. We did approve that. Everybody did unanimously vote no.
No, it was approved.
Huh? Okay. All right. We're going to number 12. First reading of ordinance, public hearing. Ordinance for Greens at Forest Lake Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment from low-density residential to medium-density residential or rezoning to plan unit development.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. For the record, Mike Rumor, City Planner. The item before you, the next three items are large-scale comprehensive map amendments. So these are petitions to either change the text in the comp plan or change the future land use map, of which this particular item, the Greens at Forest Lake PUD, is requesting to change the land use from low-density residential to medium-density residential. The property's located west of what you know as the Arbors Apartments and the Charter School. This is the West Orange Trail. It's adjacent to the 429. This is West Road. petition is for 29.17 acres. The existing land use is low-density residential, which allows up to a maximum of 4 dwelling units an acre. We have a petition to amend that to medium density, which allows up to 8 dwelling units an acre. And the purpose for that is for a townhome development from Meritage Homes. The Meritage Homes proposed plan is for 200 single-family lots. Oops, you see that's heavily wooded. You can see the Arbors Apartments, the charter school. There is a 5-acre out parcel, which is still in unincorporated Orange County. And I do want to draw your attention to the Arbors PUD was required to extend this Fountains West Boulevard to the West Orange Trail with the idea of providing future access to these eastern parcels. And you'll see how it will tie in on the north side of the out parcel here and the subject property. On the south side, there is a 30-foot spike strip which will be improved for stabilization for future emergency access, and at such time as the other properties come in and we can get a full 50 foot and try to get a full right-of-way out of it, it will tie into this remnant west road. So we have sort of 2 west roads there. But you can see the extension of this development will provide an extension to the road with a trail crossing. As I said, it's for a 200, here's the land use, and they're going to be changing it from yellow, which is low density, to orange, which is medium density. The proposal is for 200 townhome lots. These are all 2-car garage townhomes from Meritage. The density they will achieve in this PUD is 6.89 dwelling units an acre. So under the maximum of 8, and that's why they needed to do the land use change, because it's more than 4 and less than 8. You have the site plan in your packet. This is the West Orange Trail. Provides a nice amenity to the community. This community has 200 lots. They are 24-foot wide by 107-foot deep, 3-bedroom, 2-bath townhome with 2-car garage. The minimum living area is 1,500 square feet. So a higher-end townhome development. And Meritage Homes representative, along with the engineer consultant, is here to answer any questions. The development overlooks the Forest Lake Golf Course, provides a buffer to the 429, and this is along an exit ramp to the 429. You can see this is the little stabilized area, and this area will be dedicated to the city. They'll give it to us after it's completed, so we can use it as a future secondary access, but for the time being, it'll be used for emergency purposes if for some reason there were ever an accident at this point. There is a number of off-street parking, additional parking spaces, in the amount of 73 guest parking in this community, besides the 2 in the garage and 2 in the driveway, assuming no one uses their garage as a storage facility. Adjacent to the Forest Lake Golf Course, there'll be a decorative fence. There's no reason to buffer a multifamily to a park or a recreation area, so they'll be able to have that opaqueness or non-opaqueness so they can see the golf course and sell those lots for a premium. Then they will have a fence along, there's a buffer from the right-of-way line, and the rear units have space which will have plantings and a fence as well. There is currently no sound attenuation walls out there, and we will not be, the city will, and we'll put that in a development agreement, will not be expected to place any at any future date, just as we've done with the other communities we've approved along the Turnpike or the 429. The property will be connecting to Orange County Water and Sewer, and it will be extending City of Ocoee reclaim, so we will be providing reclaimed water to them. The item you're hearing is a first reading of the ordinance to amend the future land use. It's also a first reading of the ordinance to rezone the property to plan unit development PUD. The plan will be setting up the zoning with the lot sizes and the setbacks and the maximum density. And we're also asking you under the public hearing item to transmit this to the state of Florida for review as a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment is for a project of 10 acres or more. This plan and the data analysis provided showing that it's not going to negatively affect level of service will go to the state, it'll go to Apopka, Winter Garden, Orange County, Windermere, surrounding jurisdictions, and some other state agencies, and they all get a look at it, and they will provide us a report after a 90-day review. This is just an elevation of the townhomes. Again, they're all two-car garage, 24 foot, which is on a higher end side. And with that, I will entertain any questions.
Before I open the public hearing, I'll ask anybody up here first, and I'm gonna before I open the public hearing, let you read.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
Mike, what's this do to the traffic? As we know, we got all these traffic studies going on, and Orange County's coming back for that area where there's no light now. It appears now we might need to have
Yes.
a light right there.
So as part of the Arbor's review, when they amended the Arbor's PUD, when they amended to include the charter school, which created an additional peak AM use like the apartments do. This is a light industrial land use, which really assumes an 8 to 5, but with the uses generating a peak AM use, we looked at a need to provide a signal. With the Arbor's apartment approval, it did not trigger the need for a traffic signal. However, the school has to do, they'll be due one soon because the school year has started and the charter school's ramping up, getting fully enrolled with their school. They have to do a traffic analysis to see if a signal is warranted. Because we have the Arbor's apartments, we also approved on the south side of West Road, the Lady Bird Daycare, which also creates a peak AM trip, along with the development of what was the Worry Church property has now been changed to a commercial use, and this large-scale submittal. We are meant in the development agreement, which will be coming with the next phase of this, we're going to look at a proportionate share for the signal. The signal will be a 3-armed signal we're planning for. The 4th arm would be, this goes into the Duke substation, and if they ever want to add a signal, they can pay for that mast arm. So we're taking this future signalization, which has to meet a criteria for Orange County, and we're going to fund it through a proportionate share based off the amount of impact that each development is going to use on that. And it also assumes some background traffic. So that will provide the funding for the future signal. But it is not warranted at this time. Of course, you've got to have the homes out there. You've got to, there's 7 different indicators for that. But we are preparing to be able to tell the county when it's time, here you go. We've got the money.
Very good.
The last benefit, this West Road remnant here does provide a left out. And as such time as this can ever be connected, it will provide the opportunity for less traffic. The charter school is able to utilize this road, and so you will have 2 outlets, which will help, but with the background traffic of the development going on around, it will at some point require a signal, and we should have it mostly funded, if not all.
All right, anybody up here want to comment?
One question, Mike. On that out parcel, has there been any interest in annexing that property or developing it?
The owner of the out parcel is in attendance. They spoke at the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I expect they'll speak again tonight. But they did indicate that upon some resolution on what could be developed there, they would be interested in annexing it at some point.
Good. Very good.
All right, what I'm gonna do is let City Attorney read the first ordinance for large-scale comprehensive plan first, and then we'll open the public hearing for that one.
All right, this is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan as adopted in 1991 as amended. Amending the future land use map of the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan to change the future land use designation from low-density residential to medium-density residential for certain real property containing approximately 29.17 acres located on the north side of West Road and on the west side of State Road 429 Expressway providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city future land use map, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, I'm gonna open this public hearing to the public, and we can bring this company up, and then I'll open it also now for the, I'll go ahead and let you make comments, and then we can let the public speak.
Let me interject first, Mayor. The clerk kindly reminded me, we have a sign-in sheet. If you speak on this item, if you'll please sign in
Yes.
the sign-in sheet for the Greens. That is required as part of the state
Yes,
transmittal.
I'll make sure they know that before they get through.
I'll do that when I leave. Okay. My name is Tom Daly. I'm with Daly Design Group at 913 North Pennsylvania Avenue in Winter Park. We're urban planners and landscape architects, and we've been retained by Meritage Homes to file the application and to do the site plans for it. You know, Mr. Rummer did a pretty good job of explaining exactly what we're being proposed, but, you know, being low-density residential adjacent to apartments and commercial and the expressway just doesn't seem to make much planning sense. And so the next level of intensity of development is townhomes. They are all for sale. This is not a rental community. The minimum square footage on your plan is actually a lower square footage. The square footage we expect is 1,700 to 2,000 square feet. So these are big townhomes, they're 24-foot wide, 2-car garage, you know, values, you know, equal to a single-family home in a lot of areas. Over $225,000 is the starting price. 225 is kind of the starting price. Of course, they expect to get more out of that. But we just, you know, we've really enjoyed working with the city. We're just asking that you send this up to the Department of Community Affairs or Economic Opportunity. And then it comes back in about 2 months for the zoning ordinance and for the adoption. Mr. Rummer mentioned the agreement that we're working towards with regards to the cost sharing for the traffic light, and that's going to be part of that development agreement. And again, we're going to pay our fair share based on the number of trips, apartments, everybody's going to put it in. And, you know, the sooner the better from our perspective. So I'm really here to answer any questions you might have about Meritage Homes, what our goals are, and I ask for your support.
All right, if we have anybody, make sure you fill out that form and give it to me when you get through speaking. Come on up to the podium.
Good afternoon. My name is Malka Isaac, Lutz, Florida, across the street from Tampa, Florida. And I was here last time. Like the gentleman mentioned to you, I'm supporting this project. I'm the owner of the 5 acres, the out parcel, and I'm waiting to join the city once this plan is approved. Because for the time being, frankly, as I told you, my real estate taxes are cheaper. So I'll have to wait until this process works itself up, and I'm waiting for the owners of this project to contact me once they are ready to work something with me. So I'm patient, but I'm supporting it. Thank you.
Support, okay, thank you very much. All right, we need anybody else up here want to make any comments before I need a motion for the large-scale comp plan.
I'll make the motion for the large-scale comprehensive plan amendment.
Motion made by Commissioner Grogan, do I hear a second?
A second.
Seconded by Commissioner Oliver. Any more comments? If not, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, we're gonna go to the reading of the rezoning.
All right, this is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Ocoee A1 to Ocoee PUD Planned Unit Development on certain real property containing approximately 29.17 acres located on the north side of West Road and on the west side of State Road 429 Expressway, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner, finding such zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, I'm gonna do the opening back to the public for this comments on this is for the rezoning.
Mayor, this was just for the comp plan transmittal. You're good. This
I
item's
don't have
done.
to make comments on it?
Nope.
No.
If they want to, they can, but it's
Well,
not a public hearing, so.
All right, I think would. close the public hearing, bring it back to the podium.
We just need to announce when we're doing the second.
Yeah,
I'll do that after.
well, we transmit it to the state. They have 60 to 90 days to review. They provide us with an ORC report, which is an objections, recommendations, or conditions. If they provide us with an objection, we have to answer that, bring that answer back to you. If they give us a recommendation or a condition, we just adopt it. So at the early would be 60 to 90 days unless we
Yeah,
get
we
an
don't know
objection.
yet.
We don't know yet, so
It'll be,
advertised, posted, and all
Advertised.
that stuff, yes, sir.
all right, we need to make the motion. I need a motion for.
Make a motion for the rezoning ordinance?
Motion made by Commissioner Grogan for rezoning ordinance. Your second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Furley. More comments? Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, guys, thank you very much. Been a long time waiting on that property to come. Thank you. Don't forget to fill out your forms. All right, first reading of ordinance for comprehensive plan amendments for the 10-year water supply facilities work plan update.
Yes, Mayor, again, Mike Rumor, City Planner. These next two large-scale transmittals, you've seen we've had the transmittal hearing for these back in March. As with this 10-year water supply, what it does is it's a required document as part of the Wekiva Parkway Protection Act. It really shows what you're doing in your CUP, your consumptive use permit. You put that in your comp plan under a document called the 10-year water supply plan. There's a couple of suggested comprehensive plan amendments, text amendments to some of the elements, really just referencing this new plan. Back when we were seeking transmittal of this document in March, the assistant city attorney and I wrote an ordinance where we knew what we were saying we wanted to transmit, but as we were trying to provide the documentation didn't match up exactly to the wording we used. So I'm bringing just a revised ordinance before you, again, for transmittal to the state. We go through the same process. Nothing new from when you saw it before. I just held it from March till now because I knew I had another large scale, and I want to send all the large scales as one package.
All right, you need to read it.
All right, this is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan as adopted in 1991 as amended, amending the 10-year water supply facilities work plan by reference to the comprehensive plan, amending the conservation element, the potable water sub-element, and the intergovernmental coordination element, and the natural groundwater aquifer recharge element of the comprehensive plan for the purpose of updating and implementing the 10-year water supply plan, providing for transmittal, providing for public participation, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. We have to open the public hearing?
It's public hearing, yes, for
It's
transmittal.
the first reading, so there won't be any comments tonight.
Yes, the public hearings for the transmittal of this text.
Yeah, we're just doing the transmittal of it, so there are no comments on this tonight. So I'll close.
And again, there's a sign-in sheet and all of that.
Yeah, all right. I'll bring it back to the dais here. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion?
Motion
Second.
made.
Second?
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson, seconded by Commissioner Grogan. Let's vote. All right, first reading of ordinance for large-scale comprehensive plan amendment, past joint plan agreement, JPA amendments, and future land use map.
So this is, again, my comments from the 10-year water carry forward. This is basically updating the future land use map with a planning horizon of 2028. It's incorporating a new map into the comp plan. It's called an existing land use map, and that's the existing uses based off the property appraiser use code. It's incorporating the joint planning area amendments since the 15th amendment into the comp plan. Majority of you saw this in March. Again, we're just cleaning up the ordinance to be reflective of the documents we really are submitting. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
All right, I'll open the public hearing. You need to read anything on this?
Yeah, we'll do it now.
All right, nobody in the public want to make any comments? I'm going to close it and bring it back to the podium.
All right, this is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan as adopted in 1991 as amended, intergovernmental coordination element of the comprehensive plan to add the 17th and 18th amendments to the joint planning area agreement between the City of Ocoee and Orange County, Florida, and to identify a planning horizon of 2028, amending the future land use element to reflect the 17th and 18th amendments to the joint planning area agreement, amending the future land use map to conform to the joint planning area agreement as amended, and to reflect small-scale comprehensive plan amendments and annexations since July 2011, amending the existing land use map to conform to the joint planning area agreement as amended, and to reflect small-scale comprehensive plan amendments and annexations since July 2011, amending the future land use element to add the joint planning area map to the future land use map series, providing for transmittal, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
All right, no more comments from anybody up here at the podium. Ask for motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance.
Motion made by Commissioner First. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. No more comments, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on to the second reading of ordinance, public hearing. Second reading of ordinance amending chapter 124-6 of the City Code of Ordinances renaming Russell Drive Park to Frank W. Turner Park. Acting Parks Recreation Director Johnson.
Let me go ahead and read the title to this. This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending Chapter 124-6 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Ocoee, renaming Russell Drive Park to Frank W. Turner Park in honor of former City Commissioner Frank W. Turner, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for an effective date. You may remember that a month or so ago, you renamed the park to Frank W. Turner Park. That was done by consensus. This is an ordinance to amend the code, which previously referenced Russell Drive Park. So this is just a code amendment to update the name of the park to reflect what you guys have already approved for that name.
All right. No comments from the park guys? Okay. All right. I'm going to open it for the public. Any comments from the public on the park being renamed? No comments, close it, bring it back to the podium. Anybody got any comments? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the renaming.
Motion made by Commissioner Grogan. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. No more comments, let's vote. Motion carries. We can take care of that, get the sign made for that, and then we'll have a dedication. All right, second reading of ordinance for Top Gun Cheer, 651 South Bluford Avenue.
I'll read the title to this ordinance. This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Ocoee I-2 General Industrial to Ocoee I-1 Restricted Manufacturing and Warehousing on certain real property containing approximately 4.51 acres located on the west side of South Bluford Avenue, on the south side of West Columbus Street, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding such zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, the Ocoee City Code, and the Joint Planning Area Agreement, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Good evening.
Mr. Jones.
For the record, I'm Dwayne Jones, City Planner. This is the second reading of ordinance for the project called Top Gun Cheer Rezoning. The case number for this project is RZ 18-05-07. The property is located at 651 South Bluford Avenue. It is located on the west side of South Bluford Avenue and on the south side of West Columbus Street. This property is 4.51 acres. The property is currently vacant. However, there are plans to build a future Top Gun cheer facility. Now, I want to let the commission know and the public know that cheer stands for cheerleading. There won't be any gun ranges on this property or anything like that. This is strictly an indoor cheerleading facility. They're also located where the old Toys R Us was in front of the West Oaks Mall off of Colonial Drive as well. The city is requesting a rezoning to I-1, which is restricted manufacturing and warehousing The property is currently Zone I-2. However, the zoning conflicts with the future land use of this property. So by changing the rezoning to I-1, it will allow both the zoning and future land use to comply. We also wanted to make sure by changing the zoning to I-1 to keep those heavy industrial uses away from the residential areas that are located nearby. And the future land use of this property is light industrial, which complies with an I-1 zoning. Are there any questions at this time?
Where's the easement for the property?
Right here?
I didn't hear what you said.
I just want to know what the easement was. How would they gain access, what road?
I'm sorry, you asked where the easement was
Where's the
located?
access?
Access, yeah.
The access be coming off of Bluford
Bluford.
Avenue,
Bluford,
right
okay.
there. See where the arrow is? Right here?
There's a gate there, isn't there?
There's a big gate there
There's
now.
a big gate.
Right.
I'm correct?
Used to be the
They had
Florida-
2
Florida
entrances
Rock
there at one
Company
time.
store.
Yeah, there was one off of Columbus, I believe, too, as well, north side.
I think you used to see a lot of Bright Futures trucks in
they're-
there. They
I think
stored
they're
them in
moving,
there
right?
and,
Right through.
well, they had,
Futures
Bright
trucks.
Futures had some trucks in
Oh,
there.
yes, they're moving it. Right now, you can see it from the aerial view.
And it
Yeah,
was the
they do plan on moving
Rock-
these
Store in
trucks.
there,
What was it, Rock and Gas or something, or
Florida Rock.
Florida Rock?
All right, I'm gonna open the public hearing. Anybody have comments on the item, second reading for the Top Gun chair? If not, all right, close it, bring it back to the podium. I need a motion.
I'll make a
That's,
motion.
Rosemary.
Be happy to make a motion.
Second?
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson, seconded by Commissioner Grogan. Any more comments? Not, let's vote. Motion approved. Thank you, sir.
Thank
We have no regular agenda. Staff action items, no more?
No more.
Comments from commissioners. Commissioner Grogan.
I have nothing at this time, thank you.
Commissioner Wilson.
I have a couple items, thank you. After, we've all just returned from the Florida League of Cities, and we realized that should I say, the highlights were home rule and advocacy. And, well, we're asking you at this point, many of you know Kathy Till. I don't know if Commissioner Oliver knows Kathy Till, but we've had a long history with her between, as a commissioner from Apopka and longtime Florida League of Cities advocacy program. Well, she is now being, she has a private business, and the Tri-County League of Cities has asked her to do an advocacy program. And we, at this point, some of the different activities that are gonna happen, one of them, we're asking for, they're gonna have a roundtable with Senator Bracy. And she's asking if, through Tri-County, if we would offer to, would they allow them to use the commission chambers on September 12th at 9 o'clock in the morning for about 20 people who will come, just setting it up in a U-shaped so that they can have a round table. And again, this is all promoting advocacy and within legislators and citizen advocates that we're trying to promote within the Tri-County League. So, and again, we're invited, 9 o'clock in the morning, but I'm asking if they could use the commission chambers that morning. We set up in U-shape so they can start roundtable conversations with different legislators. The one they're gonna start with is, well, they're gonna have here is Senator Bracy, but they're going to be traveling throughout the area to promote this advocacy efforts. Again, we wanna get our citizens and we wanna get folks moving along and being in the face of our legislators when they start acting interesting towards us, erratic towards us. So I'm asking the commission if they can use, through the Tri-County with Kathy Till, if they can use the chambers that morning on the 12th of September at 9 o'clock. Anyone have a problem?
We don't have our red light cameras on that day, do we?
I don't think we have anything. I think I've already checked on the 12th that we didn't have any,
The calendar shows open,
any problems.
the budget meeting at night.
We have problems, budget meeting at night.
Yeah, I don't have the calendar to know what's scheduled for the meeting. Other than the evening, we have our budget hearing. If the calendar's free, I can put it on. Do you know how long?
I believe it's probably gonna be just a couple hours. It's, from what I see in the email, sorry, and it's gonna be about,
If consensus of the commission is to book it, I can go ahead and book it if there's any conflicts. Rosemary, Commissioner
I'm
Wilson,
told
I can
that
get with you.
I was already told it was open.
Okay, then
I think G had already
if
checked it
you've
for me.
already
and-
checked, it should be open.
So are we okay with that? Whether the commission's okay with that?
Consensus,
okay.
everything okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let Kathy know that. The other item I wanted to bring up, after our last meeting, I kind of had some thoughts. Isn't that what happens to us? And the thought was regarding 2 North Bluford. And that was when that was brought to us regarding that, the McGuire House. And thought about this, and I thought that maybe we should request staff to do a standard due diligence before we enter an agreement on this parcel. We have an economic development consultant who I think should be consulted for the feasibility and likelihood of success. I mean, I would be interested in Angel's opinion at this point regarding that. I'm not against the project. I just feel as though that, I think looking at it on a piece of paper, just kind of drawn out, I personally would like some more information, especially since we had those charrettes with our residents and what was gonna happen downtown. I guess I wanna have some reassurance that it's going to fit in. And, I think Angel's got a lot of insight into the hospitality field, and I think it'd be good for us to know his opinions. So I'm asking the commission if we could go forward with that.
I don't have any problem with that, but I think one of the things, and I don't even know if she's gonna follow through, because we talked about it with the easements and everything else, but I think if we're gonna do something like that, I might wanna call a community meeting again with some citizens, because I know citizens that'll wanna have it.
And I'm
So
not against it.
I'm just saying, I don't really know. I heard she just took a job as the new principal for Kitty College. So I don't know if she's still gonna wanna do it. I just know that I think if our citizens
Kids community.
come aboard and see what we're doing and what that is, I think they'd even want that. So I don't have a problem with that, but I think even if you did a contract, you have a due diligence part of that anyway. You would never do that till you got all the due diligence done. So it would entail that. And Angel's, I have no problem with our economic director, that he's not more in the hospitality, he's more in the few other things about running down businesses to bring them in. So I don't have a problem with that, but I think the due diligence and Assistant City Manager Shadrick could probably enlighten us on that. But I think if they did end up wanting to do that and they put a letter of intent, that's when you start doing the due diligence of that project.
Well, I would just like, as I say, I think, I kind of feel as though we moved forward, and I think I'd like to see some of that information.
No,
I'm
we
not
didn't-
against it.
We didn't
I'm
move
like,
forward, Commissioner. We just said we were gonna look at it.
Well, that's to me, moving forward and taking the next step, and
Well-
I think that we should have Angel and some of our staff look at this for us before we, should I say, get everyone's hopes up, and let's see what the outcome might be.
Once again, I'm gonna say, that's exactly what we said we were gonna do. Is that not right, Commissioner Grogan?
That's
I
what-
think the rest of it, I don't think you were here, were you?
No, I did get a
Yeah.
a briefing
I
after the
just
fact.
think we're all gonna look at it, it's gonna come before you, even if they do wanna do it, it'll be a letter of intent, and then you go through the due diligence of seeing if they can do it or not can do it, and things like that. And if we have to have, if you wanna bring it open, I would bring citizens in for a workshop to see if they'd like it or not, before we do it. So, I just think, I don't know what she's gonna do. I know I've never heard another word out of them since that meeting.
Mayor, if I might, I agree with what the mayor's saying about the letter of intent. Actually, because no action was taken, then we would do the due diligence, based on, Commissioner Wilson's, commentary.
Yeah.
At such time as we got a letter of intent submitted from the, Dr. Crown. So, you're both right.
Well, I'm not trying to be right or wrong, I'm just saying, in what we talked about that night, it's all open, it has to be discussed, and we told, Mr., what's your name? Butler back there to look into it, and look, and investigate it, because we have to know what the right-of-way and all that stuff
Right.
that's gonna be entailed in what happens downtown. So I think that's what'll happen. But I do know most times in the real estate thing, they do a letter of intent. Letter of intent starts the due diligence part of it, where they can do the research.
I just want to make sure that we're following steps, because
Following what?
following steps, I'm very
Well, we
concerned.
do follow steps, that's
I
why
know
we
we
brought
do.
it up.
But I want to make sure,
Well, we
And I-
will.
and I want to make sure.
Once
that I
again,
ask.
I'll say, if they do the letter of intent, the due diligence will be done. The steps, as you call it, steps.
Steps.
I just have one question about that, though. Would it require, this is probably more for you, Scott, would it require any changes or amendments to any ordinances if we decide to move forward after the due diligence has been done?
It may. I don't, I guess it depends on the use and whether the property has the specific zoning for the use.
Yeah,
I imagine there'll be some kind of land use change to operate that.
The other thing is that, I don't know, like I said, I think we told them they had to go in there and do an assessment of what the shape of the building was, foundation and the roof and everything else. So they might decide they want to do that anyway, so, with the cost of what it might entail.
Could be costly.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Okay, I think
That it?
that's it that I have, thank you.
Commissioner first.
Just remember, school's open, please drive safely. Pay attention to what you're doing out there and use more patience than you normally do in normal driving. And please get out next Tuesday and vote in the primary election. Thank you.
Commissioner Oliver.
Yes, just kind of piggybacking on what Commissioner Wilson, her request for a consensus for the use of the chamber, I would like to request, make a similar request for the use of the chamber on the 24th for a District 4 Town Hall meeting. And I would need a consensus from the commissioners to do that, as as far as I know, the chamber is not booked on that day. And I'm looking from about 6:30 PM to about 8 PM to kind of bring the citizens of District 4 up to speed as to where we are with several projects in the city.
August 24th?
No,
September.
September.
Everybody consensus okay with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Couple things, I don't know about the rest of you, but I had couple different people asked about the tax rate, because they got the trim bill, and I guess they don't understand the situation, but the trim bill is not the final deal. We get the bill will be coming back in October, November. The tax rate showed 6.5 on there, which is the same thing as always. We do a higher tax rate till we get through doing it. It'll end up being it'll be 5.6 or 5.5, somewhere in that area when we get through. So just to let them know, I went and visited a couple of them's house, to let them know, explained it to them. But that'll be after we do the September 26th, Wednesday, September 26th meeting. So that's when the last thing is, and then they'll get it changed around one way or the other. But it won't be 6.5, I'm pretty much positive of that. So we'll be working on that at the next couple budget things. The other thing is same thing as always, people asking questions about what we're doing with the park, what we're doing with the road. The park is being changed around. It was part of the revitalization of the downtown. So some of the things you see being removed or taken away has to do with what we're doing in the revitalization of the downtown area, which is part of the project that we voted to do under the bond issue. So if anybody asks you, tell them to look it up on the city website, and it can explain some of the things, but like the bench is gone, or the gazebo coming down, or the bathrooms moved. So all that'll change after we get the park revitalized and redone. So just let the citizens know. And I will say, this year has been one of the less hectic school opening days weeks that I've seen. They did an excellent job, the police and the public works staff and everybody else that worked on that system. It has worked, a lot better, and it's been a lot hectic that's hectic for what went on. So we appreciate that, and we always want our kids to be safe. So if no more comments, see you, what is the next meeting?
September.
18th?
Second,
Well, we'll be here for the 12th.
No, we're gonna be here, yeah, we're gonna be here for the 5th for the CRA.
We'll be here on the CRA, and then, see you on the CRA.
18th is the next
18th.
meeting.
Meeting adjourned.